Huaqiang has caused a heat wave, everybody. Hi! It's Romania Black, and yeah, last week it was freezing cold where I live, and so I had to turn on my heat and everything, and now it's like in the 80s. What is global warming doing? But yes, we are on episode 4 of season 2 of Heaven Official's Blessing, and oh my gosh, y'all, I'm loving this second season of Donghua. It has been so wonderful so far. I'm having a blast with it, and I get so excited now because we're obviously going to talk about the episode in the Donghua, and fun things are happening. We're in Paradise Manor. Xie Lian's trying to be covert with Huaqiang, but the Windmaster's now there, so what are we going to do? And it's just a fun time, right? But it's also fun because I can talk about spoilers with you all in the spoiler corner, and as I've been talking with people throughout the last couple of weeks, I now understand what you all have gone through to keep spoilers away from me, but that's all right. It makes it worth it. So those of you that are Donghua only, it is worth it to be surprised. Don't let yourself be spoiled. So how exciting, right? I have several comments, but most of them are for the post-episode spoiler corner. However, I do like SQQLBH314 talking about how at the end of this last episode, it's like all the ladies trot out the food for Xie Lian at the dinner table with Huaqiang, and then they immediately like go away. And they were like, isn't that just too fun and rapid? And I was like, well, if we're going by the Beauty and the Beast motif from the last episode, it's basically just be our guest. Xie Lian just needs a blue bow in his hair, and it's like, try the gray stuff, it's delicious. And he'll just be like trying all the foods while Huaqiang's like, yes, give more for my gigi. Love it though, love it. So yes, it is very warm, which is why I'm wearing a t-shirt in here. I refuse to turn my air back on because screw you, climate. But yes, it's very warm, although I poured myself a cup of coffee, so what am I doing? I'm just enabling. YOLO, right? So yes, I have comments, but I'm going to save them for at the end of the episode in the spoiler corner. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what we get so far. This season's been so much fun. I've enjoyed fangirling with you all. It's been so exciting, and I'm curious to see what else we get. So yeah. So before we start, I want to give a special shout out over to our Patreon philanthropy tier. Thank you all so much. If you are on YouTube and you want to see next week's episode, you can join Patreon and join our Discord and become part of the cult with us. But over on Patreon, these fellow individuals have not only subscribed to Patreon and are members of the Discord and get everything a week early, but they also get a special shout out in my videos. And if I have a tie in the polls, they get to break it. So, haha. And that not only goes for shows that I'm going to watch, but it also goes for polls like husbando and waifu brackets, things like that. Things are going to get interesting. So, we shall see. But yes, speaking of which, over on Patreon, I do have a husbando and waifu bracket going on right now. HuaLian won last year, so they unfortunately are not eligible this year, but there may be some other anime or Donghua couples that you want to recommend from shows that I've seen that you can over on Patreon for $1, and then you get in the Discord to talk about it. So, with that being said, I want to give a special shout out to Alex Cornejo, to Anime Annie, to Anna, as well as to Ashigats No Bitches, Be Happy, as well as Dana, Destiny Marie, Eric, Edgar, to Kiri, to Loisige, to Matthew Palfinier, to Nameless Monster, to Saku, to Shimoyama, as well as Sunspots, to Trails, Translucent Men, Tyrone, and Zakiel. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love, y'all. Yeah. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right into this episode. I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea. And just see what we get. So we're going to start Heaven Official's Blessing, episode 4 of season 2 of the Donghua. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So there we are. Oh my gosh. So Maddox7754 did make this comment, and I thought it had a spoiler in it, but it doesn't. However, they were talking about how the Dice Scene song In Front of the Red Curtain is actually up somewhere. They were talking about how it's available to listen to, and that it's like a full-length song, which is great. But the voice actor for the Windmaster also plays Wei Wuxian, which now that I know that, it's like the only thing sticking in my brain. I'm gonna have to make sure that I like try to distract myself, because yeah, it's the the live action and the audio drama Wei Wuxian has a different voice actor than the Wei Wuxian in the Donghua. They are two different voices. They don't really sound like it. They do a really good job of making it, seem like it's the same person, but it is two different people. However, if you listen to the audio drama and if you've watched The Untamed, the voice actor for Wei Wuxian, because Chinese Donghua and Danmai do like dubs even when they're live action, they do dubs for the actors. So you can definitely hear Wei Wuxian in the Windmaster, but I kind of love that because the Windmaster has such like a fun personality. They're such fun. And whenever Wei Wuxian gets kind of like whiny in Modao Zushi, the Windmaster kind of picks up that same cadence. I freaking love the Windmaster. The Windmaster may be my favorite side character in Heaven Official's Blessing. I mean, obviously there's HuaChang and Xie Lian. They're our main protagonists, obviously. But I would say of all the side characters, not counting HuaChang and Xie Lian because I love them dearly, but besides them, I think the Windmaster is maybe one of my favorites because they're just so, like they say in this episode, they're so positive, they're so kind, they just want to be friends, and they're like a social butterfly. They're the type of character or type of person in real life I would be, like, my friend circle would attract. Like, I feel like I'm the more introverted one of my friend circle, if you can find that hard to believe. But I really am. I'm like the more introverted person of the friend circle, and I find myself attracted to a lot of big personalities and people that are like kind of extrovert and all over the place. And I just sit there and like slowly gather my energy and I like slowly drain it from them as they're just like, ah. I feel like I very much relate to Xie Lian. I would be Xie Lian with someone that's a best friend like the Windmaster. And I just love their banter together. It's so fun. I absolutely am adoring it. So yeah, so this episode, what a weird place to end, right? Just showing right back up with HuaChang. Now, is HuaChang going to be mad? I don't think they're going to be mad at Xie Lian because I don't think HuaChang's ever mad at Xie Lian. But, I think they're going to be like, what you doing, Gege? Why are you trying to get out of here? Get like Hotel California starts playing in the background. It's like, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Especially if you're Gege. So yeah, the Windmaster though, I just love that they are just like instantly like, it's me, Xie Lian, and winking at them, and Xie Lian's like, oh yeah, it is the Windmaster. Someone had pointed out, I think it was SQQLBH 314, had pointed out last week that most of the ladies that work in Paradise Manor kind of look like Xie Lian. I was like, Gege has a type, right? HuaChang has a type, right? I feel bad for the kid though, because Long Ying's just sitting there like, what do I do? And why did HuaChang just have him like pop right back in? So why did he have him in the room? Like what was he saying to him? It's a very good question, right? Because HuaChang just does not seem like a type that would care for children. Doesn't seem like it's up his alley, right? So there are questions involving like, why is Long Ying there? And Xie Lian like pops back in with the Windmaster. One thing that is frustrating in this is that Xie Lian has such low self-esteem, and that becomes really apparent in this episode because they don't have a lot of self-worth for themselves, because HuaChang gives him luck, like literally says, he like put the hand in the hand and said, I'm giving you luck, it's rubbing off on you, you can roll the dice and hit anything you need. Why are you giving the dice to the Windmaster? Right? Because we're sitting there as the audience being like, Xie Lian, he explained it very simply. You're able to roll the dice and you're going to be fine. But Xie Lian does not have that faith in himself. He doesn't have that self-worth and believes that it should be the Windmaster doing it because Xie Lian believes he just has terrible luck, even when HuaChang gives it to him. And the Windmaster, as we find out, is like not much better than anybody else. So truly, it's only when Xie Lian starts to not doubt himself that things go the order that they need to go, right? And I feel like HuaChang is trying to show Xie Lian that, like, you're worth it, Gege. He's like, I'll give you my luck, I'll help you. And Xie Lian's just like Xie Lian's just a hot mess express, 24/7 in all this. He tries to explain cultivation, and he's like, oh, well, I can't have alcohol because of the way that my cultivation works. I have to abstain from alcohol. And HuaChang is instantly like, oh my god, I messed up. Right? HuaChang's just like, I messed up. Why did I do that? And just instantly is like, oh, sorry, Gege. I hope we're on good terms. And Xie Lian's like, no, it's fine. He's like, it's not really about just giving up this and that. And then that's when Xie Lian's trying to like keep the conversation going as they're realizing that the Windmaster is definitely there. So yeah, so HuaChang like bids him good night after he gives him, the dice. He says, I do like that HuaChang tries to call out Xie Lian and being like, well, if cultivation is the case, then, you know, you were gambling in the gambler's den. Like, should you have been doing that? And Xie Lian was like, oh, well, I was just gambling to find you. I wasn't trying to actually bet on anything, so I wasn't really doing anything right or wrong. I'm self-aware, so it's fine. He, like, creates a loophole for himself. The one thing they don't talk about is that Xie Lian's like, oh, yes, I don't drink because, you know, cultivation and purity and sexual abstinence, and he just casually throws that in, and Hua Chong's like, wait, are we going to talk about that third one? Hua Chong's like, we're not going to mention that one because that's still on the table, right? I'm amazed that they've kept it in. Honestly, I'm amazed that they kept it in. I thought they were going to cut it, but no. And then Hua Chong's like, I've got a shortcut that will make you unbeatable in battle. And I like that Xie Lian tries to act like, oh, no, I don't want it. But he's like, what is it? And then he gives him his hand and gives him the luck. As people have also noted, it's no surprise, but Hua Chong's legs are like spread throughout this entire episode, and they've made his pants like a nude tan color. So honestly, it literally makes it look like Hua Chong is just man-spreading in the nude in front of his gege, scimitar at the ready, just letting you know he is ready to get down. Right? I only say it's really funny because if you read the manhwa, and this isn't a spoiler, but if you read the manhwa in Star Ember's design of Hua Chong, their pants are black. So you can instantly tell it's not his legs. But here, like, there's a shot of him just standing there while Xie Lian's rolling the dice, and it looks a little suspicious, right? I do love the shot where it's the dice in the forefront of the frame, and behind them is Xie Lian and Hua Chong looking at each other. It didn't dawn on me until watching this donghua that Hua Chong is obviously, like, he's kissably taller than Xie Lian. There's a nice little kiss distance there. But the Windmaster's taller than Xie Lian. Poor Xie Lian. And I feel like Xie Lian's not that short. So it's just kind of cute that Xie Lian's the shorter one as our protagonist of the others. And then Hua Chong says, once I defeat an opponent, they won't be able to turn the table for 100 years. Interesting. Interesting, right? And Xie Lian's like, really? How do you manage that so long? So Hua Chong and then they bid goodnight. They're very good little boys and girls. Like, they just go back to their room. Nothing big. And that's when Xie Lian runs into the Windmaster, who shows up in the dress and instantly, like, starts ripping the dress apart. So that they're, which, you know, the dress, I'm sure, when they changed back into male form was really restrictive because it was designed for a more petite female body. But it's kind of funny because as soon as he starts, like, ripping at the clothes, Xie Lian's like, why didn't you wear your white, like, cultivation robes? And the Windmaster's like, well, because if you wear white, you're obviously noticeable, Xie Lian. Duh! Which, to me, is hilarious because then what do? They go sneaking around. Xie Lian's wearing white robes! Xie Lian is instantly noticeable. So I'm like, your logic, Windmaster, makes no sense. I have expected the Windmaster just wanted to be, like, so dramatic. And Xie Lian's like, should I be looking at this? I do love we get some nice biceps on the Windmaster and see, like, they're a manly frame, but they're just, like, fiddling around with the dress. It's so funny. And they, like, keep, like, all of the trinkets and stuff on. Hilarious. And their hair stays the same. Love it. I love the way the Windmaster's animated. Like, the animation team does some good expressions on Xie Lian. Don't get me wrong. But the Windmaster is just so beautifully expressive. And even when they're like a chibi face or a cutesy face or like they're being funny, it's just the animation team looks like they're having so much fun animating the Windmaster. And I am living for it. Right? I just love their green eyes. I love everything. And so I love also the Master's like, man, you're really lucky. Lan Chu and I had a tough time in the Ghost City. And Xie Lian's like, I just literally walked here with the Waning Moon Officer. It becomes very apparent in this episode that Hua Chong is going real easy on Xie Lian. Because we saw back at the Gambler's Den that Hua Chong has a considerable amount of strength. And the Windmaster even notes, Hua Chong has created their own Choose Your Own Adventure storybook with how to get around his mansion. Like, it takes you underground where there's earthworms that could eat you. That takes you to, like, a cannibal forest that's, like, surrounding the place. Like, it takes you all over the place. But the Windmaster notes that takes a lot of spiritual energy to do that. And the fact that Hua Chong does it so effortlessly in addition to everything they're doing shows that they are very, very powerful and very strong. And Xie Lian's just like, but they're also cute. It's like, they're making a point in the show to show you just how, like, terrifying Hua Chong could be. And what I love about Heaven Official's Blessing is it literally is taking this character who is kind of painted up by a lot of other characters, like, you know, back during season 1 when Xie Lian first came back to the Heavenly Court and they were talking about the Crimson Rain Sought Flower. They're like, oh, he's very dangerous and he's been such a threat and he's so powerful and menacing and he's got this deadly scimitar. And then Xie Lian goes and meets him and he's like, no, he's kind of hot and he's nice to me, gives me food, lets me adopt a kid. What I love about it is that it takes the very, very traditional, stereotypical, like, archetype of the villain of the story. And MXTX, the creator, asks, what if the villain of the story was in love with the protagonist and was actually super nice to them? And this is your answer! And it's kind of fun, but there is an edge to HuaChang that is interesting because other than Xie Lian, HuaChang does not seem to care about anybody else. And again, that it's kind of like that villain archetype that they're just in it for Xie Lian, but they're super kind of respectful to Xie Lian and super nice and flirty and is like an amazing gentleman. And it's like, what are we supposed to do with this, right? But I just love the Windmaster on their side being like, we had such a hard time. Like, while you were living well, drinking and eating comfortably, and Xie Lian's like, well, actually. It's really, really funny. And he's like, so, Your Highness, did you not remember, did you forget our mission? I love that the Windmaster's like, yeah, you've been having a great time, but did you remember why we're here? And Xie Lian's like, actually, I do. I've been doing some Sherlock business, found some clues. Let's go get the mystery machine and go find it. And it's really fun. I like their little banter and their adventures and then the dice and everything. And then showing, you know, and the Windmaster's like, let's stay positive. You know, they're like, I wouldn't have agreed to help His Majesty the Emperor. It's just asking for trouble. And Xie Lian's like, Windmaster, you don't fully understand Jun Wu. Like, if it weren't for the circumstances. Xie Lian's like, the only reason that we're on the job is because we're the only ones that can be trusted, right? You trust me, and I'm the only one that can be trusted for this mission, supposedly. So, it's interesting, right? So, yeah. So, anyway, I liked the idea of this felt like Labyrinth. Felt like Labyrinth with them walking around. If you've ever seen the 1980s movie Labyrinth, it's one of my favorites. But it's the idea that, like, the blocks with the arrows pointing in the right direction move throughout the movie. And, like, trapdoors lead to different things. And, like, this felt like when they fell down the trapdoor to the worms, it felt like a trapdoor scene from Labyrinth. It's great. And if you want to compare HuaChang to the Goblin King David Bowie, go right ahead. Like, they're wearing them tan nude pants that hide nothing. So you just, yeah, HuaChang's just like, he has like his like robe comes down to where nothing is shown because, but his scimitar is a nice representation, right? Right? Yes, I'm pretty sure. The earthworm thing was kind of cool because there was a nice little bit of foreshadowing. Like, one, they have to crouch down because the space is only big enough for the earthworms, so that's a hint. But when Xie Lian, like, mixes with the dirt, if you've ever, like, seen earthworms, like, in, like, potting soil and stuff, or if you've gone fishing and you've had to dig up worms, they eat dirt, so it's like the soil is a lot more loamy and loose around worms, so it's a nice little bit of foreshadowing. And plus, it was on the dice, like the little carved stone that fell down, so should have been obvious. Will say, though, I think it's pretty obvious that these earthworms do exactly what HuaChang says because they didn't really try to hurt. I mean, they chased after Xie Lian and the Windmaster, but they weren't, like, aggressive. They could have been more aggressive. The little palm flames, which are really cool, held them back. I'm like, really? I think the earthworms could have taken it, but I'm sure HuaChang was like, we just need you to get them to this point. It's almost like HuaChang's like, what are you doing? Like, you have all this good luck. Why are you messing around? Right? But Xie Lian is self-doubt. And then they go to the forest of the cannibals, which was just so crazy. Like, what a weird twist, right? Only MXTX could have our two main characters go through, like, an underground worm tunnel, then to a forest of cannibals, and then jump back and see the Ghost King himself, right? It did seem weird when, in my mind, reading the novel, for some reason I imagined it at night. When they went and saw the cannibals, in my head I pictured it being at night, and maybe it's like that in the novel. I don't remember. But to see them out in the daylight felt really weird for some reason. It didn't feel like ghostly or ethereal like Paradise Manor has kind of felt. And then, of course, they're cannibals. Why not? So basically, Huachong's put this security system in place that if you can't roll the dice correctly, you're going to choose your own adventure of how you're going to get kicked out of the royal palace, or in this case, Paradise Manor, not the royal palace. But basically, it's choose your own adventure of how do you get booted out. And luckily, Xie Lian finally figures out that he can use his own luck that Huachong gave him after the Windmaster was like, please don't make me do this again. And third time's a charm. They get to the actual... I liked that instead of a trap door, the stairway opened up. That was fun. Also, the Windmaster freaking out when their face was cut was glorious, where they freaked out and were like, you cut my face, how dare you? And sent the cannibals flying in the whirlwind. Now, they do establish that being heavenly officials, when they are in the mortal realm, part of their job is that they cannot use their powers to hurt any mortals. Obviously, that makes sense, right? That's why the whole issue with Banyu was like a big deal. So, but the Windmaster's like, I didn't really hurt them. I just flung them into the trees because they hurt my beautiful face. And he says not even my brother has dared. So that leads me to think that not even the Windmaster's brother has, offered to hurt or blemish their face, which is interesting. So yeah, the Windmaster also is like, points out how the Crimson Rainsop flower is really powerful. They get out of there. The Windmaster's like, how dare you scratch my face? The face that they made right before they used the fan, there's like a really funny shot where Xie Lian's like, aha! Like he has a really like, oh no, don't overreact. And the look on the Windmaster's face reminds me of Wei Wuxian, like about to do something mischievous. Speaking of which, the Windmaster makes this big deal about saying the Crimson Rainsop flower having all these choose your own adventure doom paths seems a bit excessive, seems a bit villainous. Xie Lian says, oh no, it's not villainous, it's just mischievous. Like, Xie Lian is already defending Huachong, saying, oh, it's not a big deal. It's kind of cute, right? Xie Lian having, like, a little secret dark side is really funny, and I find that fascinating. So, yeah, I love it. It's really cute, and the Windmaster's like, ugh. I just, again, love how they're animated. They're like, can we just get out of here now? And then they find the secret passage. Now, the secret passage takes us down into this dungeon where there's blood on the walls and all this, and they find the Earthmaster tied up. And Xie Lian's like, why would Huachong have a dungeon? Which is a very good question. Why would Huachong have a dungeon and have the Earthmaster tied up? Why would that be the case? Why would the Earthmaster be tied up? We last saw them at Banyu. It seemed clear that the Earthmaster and Huachong knew each other, like they'd met before, and so because they kind of like gave each other a look. But then, how did Huachong get said Earthmaster down here? And how does that work? Why are they chained up? And then, like, why did they send the signal? And were they hoping that the Windmaster and Xie Lian would come? I don't know. In any case, I do love that the Earthmaster does not want to acknowledge. They look really good in male form. I think they look great in both forms. But I love the Windmaster's like, I'm your friend. And the Earthmaster's like, I don't have friends who are in dresses like that. Like, they try to be snide. And they're just like they're like, got the little like smirk on their face. Like, look at you being dressed up like that. And the Windmaster's like, oh. And Xie Lian's like, oh, is this the Earthmaster? Like, how can this be? And the Windmaster's like, oh, you've met them before. And then Xie Lian realizes they were in female form too, right? Which they both looked gorgeous in that form. And Xie Lian's like, I'm so lucky I managed to hold back from the joint celebration. I love Xie Lian's like, I'm glad I didn't let him turn me into a woman too. But yeah. So they realize who it is. And they're like, Earthmaster, was it you who sent the heavenly dragons word for help? And he's like, it was me. And like, well, now that we found you, we need to get out of here. So your injuries are severe and we can talk later. And they're like, okay. So they share their power. So they can activate the palm light because Xie Lian does not have spiritual power of his own. He has to borrow it. And then I love that the Windmaster just puts the Earthmaster on their back with a piggyback ride. Yeah, they're super close. Like you can tell from back at Banyu, from now, they've definitely been through a lot together, and they're really good friends. And it's like, oh, I love the little face where the Windmaster like looks back at him, and it's just like has this little face like, I get to carry you back, Earthmaster. And he's like, Ming, didn't you say you were good at fighting? And all he does is like put his head there, so like a cat. Like he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Oh my god. the precious, the shipping. It's like, when we parted, Bon, you passed, you were fine. But how'd you end up like this in a few days? And they're like, I don't want to talk about it. It's so cute. How did you manage to provoke the Crimson Rainsop flower? And Xie Lian's like, they seem like they're... I love in this moment, Xie Lian's like, when you're trying to ship a pair of two male characters, and the grandma's like, they seem like really good friends. That's the vibe that I got. That's the vibe that I get from Xie Lian in that moment. It's like, Earthmaster, well, I'm quite curious. Aww. And they passed out. I say all. They passed out. They got like blood and cuts all over their face. But so they get to the top, and Xie Lian rolls the dice, and just look where it manages to take us. Right back to the armory with San Long. And Xie Lian's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Why is Long Ying here? What's going on? And then that's when the Earthmaster like shows up, and Xie Lian's like, oh, I'm sorry, San Long. For a hot second, it looked like he was going to kiss him. And I was like, oh. And then, nope. That's the damn end of the episode. How dare they give us a cliffhanger here? How dare they? So, yeah. There's interesting things afoot. But how dare they choose to end the cliffhanger there? Ah, how dare. I'm very excited for the next episode. Very excited. But I do want to talk a couple spoilers. Just a few random little spoilers. And I got a couple spoiler comments to mention. So, in any case, I hope that you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. It was a pretty straightforward episode, right? Right? So yes. But I'm excited. I hope you all are too. So in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you're not sticking around for spoiler corners, please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Heaven Officials Blessing Season 2. Well, I'm glad we got this episode out of the way this week. I'm glad we got this all out of the way, let me say, because if I'm being honest, of all of the events that I think are going to be covered in season 2, this was to me probably the most, I don't want to say boring, because I did like this a lot when I was reading it, but it was just kind of like the most like, okay, let's get to the point. Let's get to like you knew that Xie Lian and the Windmaster were going to find Ming Yi. You knew they were going to find him, so it was just a matter of time. And that's not to say the earthworm part and the cannibals weren't amusing. I did love the Windmaster getting riled up and being like, how dare you? You know, and using their powers to like send them into the air. That part was fun, but it was not the most exhilarating part of the reading. It was probably like this episode here and the contents of it were probably, to me, the most boring part of volume 2, and I wanted to get through it really fast. I'm like, come on, let's get to the good part. And now we've gotten to the good part. So it's like, yay! I do want to go back through because there's a couple spoiler things I want to talk about. Once we get to it, let's go back to this. Okay, when Xie Lian is talking about the alcohol, okay, and they say to HuaChang, they're like, oh, well, it's because of me being abstinent. And he's like, it's the idea that when... He says, it's part of my cultivation. And he says, I abstain from alcohol. And what does he say there exactly? It's the exact way that he words it. He says, oh, well, I abstain from alcohol. So Long is like, oh, did you choke, Gege? Like, I know the Heimlich. Are you all right? Put your arms up in the air and you'll be okay. He's instantly like, is the drink not to your taste? Like, can I fix it? And Xie Lian says, no, that's not it. He says, I suddenly remembered that I need to abstain from alcohol for my cultivation. And when HuaChang goes, sorry about that, it's like he suddenly remembered back in book 4 with the ghost fires, when he was a ghost fire and Xie Lian got drunk at the graveyard. That hit me, and I was like, oh my god, yes. So now when HuaChang got upset about it, he was like, oh, I'm sorry, Gege. It's like, because he suddenly remembered, like, oh shit, yeah, last time you drank alcohol, holy cow, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about it. It's like he got a little bit overzealous, and he was like, ooh, I need to back off. Yeah, I don't want my Gege to get, have any bad memories, right? Meanwhile, he's like, oh yeah, and that's when he's like, it's customary to abstain from alcohol. Sexual indulgence. Didn't say anything about no sex, just sexual indulgence. You know, we'll just keep it classy. But yeah, so then him and the Windmaster go, and HuaChang like is like, well, here you go, here's some luck. Again, I think it speaks volumes for how much Xie Lian has grown over the course of this story, to how much lack of confidence he had in him at the start, where he didn't want to roll the dice himself because he was afraid that his bad luck would like rub off or it wouldn't work. You cut to now in the story, Xie Lian's like, let's get stuff done. Let's go. No regrets. Let's go for it. YOLO. You know, it's such a big turn from his character, which is really good. Also, the moment that HuaChang like left Xie Lian in the big palace room, it gave me instant flashbacks to Bai Wusheng / Junwu making him his own temple and palace, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of unsettling. The parallels are unsettling, but HuaChang does it with such care and compassion and love, whereas Bai Wusheng / Junwu, it's kind of empty and hollow and creepy. Or at least now it seems that way in hindsight. But yeah, the Windmaster, I love them coming in, turning into a man, and they start like taking the clothes off. I want them to look dirtier by the end of this, but I feel like next episode we're going to get the fight, which I'm super excited about, between the Windmaster and HuaChang. And so I feel like they're going to be a little tattered after that point too, right? God, I love the Windmaster in this. The way that they're just so positive and kind. It's like the craziest thing is that we're seeing them now in the novel in book 5, and we're seeing them here in book 1, and it's like, oh, and they've changed, but they haven't changed. Just like how Xie Lian says in the novel, they're always themselves, and it's so beautiful because they want to help Xie Lian no matter what, and they want to help Ming Yi no matter what. And it's like, oh, I love the Windmaster so much. I do want to go ahead and talk about, before we go any further, talk about the comments I didn't get a chance to talk about. Anime Annie pointed out that HuaChang knocking down the golden foil temple could also be a way of representing his path, and how he's risen back time after time after being knocked down. Again, like the Ghostfire, like Wu Ming, like the Soldier, all of those times. And then we did notice in the comments, we're like, HuaChang's scimitar, you know, is one that needs 2 hands to hold. Had to. We didn't have a lot of gutter moments in this, although dealing with a lot of worms, you know, and, you know, things that can, people that want to eat other people, not out, but, you know, my mind's out of the gutter. We're going to stop now. We're going to get back with the reaction and discussion. Also, it was noted that Yin Yu, SQLBH 314 noted this. Yin Yu, I really liked this. I'm glad I didn't have to say Yin Yu in this episode, and I only had to say the Waning Moon Officer a few times because I've been really hyper-conscious after I let it slip once last episode and was like, ah. So, but we were talking about in relation to this week's set of chapters, if you've watched the chapter reaction that came out before this video on the channel, that Yin Yu, they're kind of like Xie Lian, like Junwu makes note in chapters 211 and 212 that Xie Lian and Yin Yu would probably get along because they're so similar in terms of personality and their like moral code, right? Only Yin Yu's a lot more proud than Xie Lian and a lot more kind of resentful for various reasons. But I feel like Yin Yu was accepted by HuaChang back when they first started being the Waning Moon Officer because they are like Xie Lian, according to Junwu, and because it's kind of like Yin Yu is a mix of Xie Lian, but also kind of a mix of HuaChang, because if you think about it, you know, HuaChang and both HuaChang and Yin Yu have it really bad for lovers who are, for the most part, oblivious to their love. Like, Yin Yu clearly likes Chan Yizhen, even though Chan Yizhen is oblivious to it until where we're at in the novel now. And Xie Lian has been oblivious to HuaChang until we're at in the novel now. So I thought that was really cool. I liked those comments and that being noted. Thank you all. But yeah, so left Lan Chu back at home. Left him out because he was probably going to be a problem. Fair enough. I just love the Windmaster lying on their side as they're talking to Xie Lian. It just looks like a bunch of girl talk. Like they're just sitting around swapping stories. And he's like, you've been getting pretty chummy with the Crimson Rain's hot flower. And Xie Lian's like, who, me? I'm like, get out of here. So yeah, the whole thing with the earthworm and the luck and the dice. Like I said, this part of the series was probably not my favorite in the book, so I'm glad we just spent this episode to get it out of the way. I'm fine with that. That works for me. But they make a comment about, you know, I was wondering if they were going to say Yin Yu's name when they were talking about the heavenly official that was demoted. But just like the novel, all the Windmaster says is it's the former god of the West that was demoted. Not Chan Yijin, but somebody else. So it's so crazy to think that even back this far back at the beginning of the story, they were previewing so much that was going to come up in the next several episodes. It's kind of crazy, right? I feel like the Windmaster, they do a pretty good job of showing like how much they're like, I don't want to be dirty. I don't want this to happen. What's going on? You know? And especially when we get to the cannibals, we kind of see the Windmaster kind of lash out back against them and talking about magical power being used. I love they take their fan, like use it as a blade and say, back, have at ye, you know? It's great. So then, yes, let's talk about when we get to the dungeon. Because I'm going to be honest, I kind of was trying to think about why the why Heshan, the Blackwater, was here to begin with. If I remember correctly, Heshan has been HuaChang's like one of his subordinates, or he's been being a puppet and helping HuaChang over and over again over the past several hundred years gather information about the Heavenly Realm and bring it back to the Crimson Rainsalt Flower so he can kind of keep track of when Gege possibly is coming back, whatever, when he can detect him, whatnot. And so that's what he's been gathering intel for and gathering information about the heavenly officials. And that's what Heshan's been doing all these years. And so after Banyu, that's when, if I'm remembering correctly, the fact that Heshan was with the Windmaster and had been sent down to go after them clued HuaChang in that something was up. Why was Heshan sent down with the Windmaster? What's going on? So it's very possible that Junwoo sent the puppet of Banyu. We don't know that for sure yet in the novel where I'm at right now. But it's possible, theory time, that Junwoo sent the puppet from Banyu to go get Xie Lian and lure him to Banyu, and then conveniently had the Windmaster and Heshan show up or had the Windmaster show up to try to expose them all and expose Xie Lian and expose the Crimson Rainsalt Flower. And Heshan just happened to be there, and Heshan's like the triple agent working for both Junwoo and HuaChang, so he was like, shit, I'm caught in between. The big question for me is that did Junwoo figure out that, Heshan figure out that Junwoo was not exactly who he thought he was? Or does Heshan even care? I don't know. But the point is, HuaChang was like, what are you doing? You being there in Banyu could have put my Gege in danger. Is that why he was torturing him? I don't quite remember. And if it's something we're going to find out later in the novel for sure, I don't want to know, but I can't. It's been a long time since I've read volume 2. So I couldn't quite remember why Heshan was tied up in the dungeon and getting tortured by HuaChang. But in any case, I'm sure it'll come out in the wash at some point in this. I do love the way that Heshan looks as the Earthmaster. I cannot wait to see them as the Blackwater. Seeing them in this form right now has me really excited to see like the Blackwater form. I'm ready, y'all. I'm so excited. I know it's not going to come this season, but I'm like, oh yes indeed. But beyond that, the part that got me in this episode that I had to like go and like hold back the nervous laughter was as Xie Lian was carrying, as the Windmaster was carrying Heshan up, and they do those cutesy little expressions. Xie Lian's like, wow, you can tell they're really good friends. And I was like, even in the discussion just now, I was like, yes, they're very good friends. They've been good friends for a long time now, haven't they? That just makes all of this with the Earthmaster. And the thing about it is the Earthmaster is so casual around the Windmaster, or Heshan is rather, and is so casual around the Windmaster. And you think about it, they've been trying to get their revenge on the Windmaster for all these years. It's like they've been trying to get their revenge all these years, but yet they're still so soft and let the Windmaster carry them around. But it's the Reverend of Empty Words, so it's like supposed to do that. But also it makes it weird that Bai Wusheng, again, if Bai Wusheng was posing as Junwoo back at the start of the story, Junwoo sent Bai Wusheng with Xie Lian to go into... This is the part that's weird, right? So, if Junwoo has been Bai Wusheng this whole time, surely they figured out that Heshan was posing as the Earthmaster. And they were like, okay, cool, that's some fun chaos. Let's play with that even more. And if they knew that Heshan had this grudge against the Windmaster and Shiwudu, then then Bai Wusheng as Junwoo was like, okay, fine. You know what? Since you've been trapped by the Crimson Rain and Sought Flower, and I really want the Crimson Rain and Sought Flower to be ousted and to get out of my way, because that way I can like torture Xie Lian without any problems, I'm going to send Xie Lian down to the Crimson Rain Sought Flower, see if I can cause some strife between them, even though it doesn't work. And I'm going to send the Windmaster too, because I know that Heshan wants the Windmaster to be destroyed. So maybe they know Junwoo / Bai Wusheng probably understands that HuaChang really cares about nobody but Xie Lian. It's kind of the same as Bai Wusheng. And so in that regard, Bai Wusheng as Junwoo could have been thinking, well, if I send the Windmaster down with Xie Lian and HuaChang gets in a fight with the Windmaster, maybe he'll destroy the Windmaster and then problem solved. That's one god out of the way that could cause me trouble later when I'm trying to take over the Heavenly Realm. Just saying, right? It doesn't work out because Xie Lian steps in and Lan Chanchu gets in the way and it causes a bigger uproar. But I have a feeling that Junwoo, if they were being possessed by Bai Wusheng or are Bai Wusheng, were literally sending the Windmaster with Xie Lian, not just because of the whole trust thing, but in reality because it wanted to get them out of the way. And then it didn't work. And Junwoo, with Bai Wusheng possessing them or whatever, was just like, fine, we'll just lock Xie Lian up and then start back at square one. And that's when HuaChang came and yoinked Xie Lian away, which is why now in the story where I'm at right now, Junwoo has put all the security measures in place where HuaChang can't do that. So just food for thought. I thought that was interesting to think about, and it makes some of the motivations and reasons why certain things were made, decisions, a lot clearer. The one thing, though, too, is that in the novel, they go back to the armory, and Long Ying was there. Now, again, there is a question at this point. Is Long Ying possessed by Bai Wusheng? Is HuaChang suspicious of him now? How does this work? I don't know. If we're doing the whole soul splitting thing, did the soul of Bai Wusheng get split and one part went into Long Ying and HuaChang was like, this is weird, and another part went into Junwoo? Again, MXX does not give me enough answers. I'm only on chapter 212. Surely as we go through this Dongwall, I'll get more answers and we can touch base on these things. But I was so, there was a part of me that was really hoping, because in Star Ember in the manhwa, Xie Lian lands right on top of HuaChang and he's like straddling his hips. I was getting my hopes up, thinking that maybe we would do that in this Dongwall. But sadly, that's a manhwa only edition. They treat this more like the novel, and it's like, whatever, fine. Fine, I guess. But yeah, they treat it more like the novel. And so Xie Lian just like, I did, though, nearly forget at the end of this episode that Xie Lian does not kiss him, because for a hot second he gets super close and I was like, are we getting like a Dongwall only scene and Xie Lian's going to like kiss him on accident? I'm fine with that. But no, it's just him. And of course, him pushing him out of the way is where they end the episode. I was wondering when they said this episode was only 23 minutes. I was like, okay, well, we're getting the cannibals, the worms, all of that in one episode. But where are they going to end it at? And they chose to make a cliffhanger out of Xie Lian pushing HuaChang aside to get out of there. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Whatever, I guess. I'm okay with it. I think that that's a fair place to end, I suppose. It's going to make next week a lot more fun. Next week's going to be a fun week. That's going to be a fun edition. I'm excited for that, y'all. Hell yeah. I'm ready for that. That's going to be fun. I'm excited. Yes, indeed. But that's going to be fun to react to and review when we get the battle next episode. Yay! And then we go back to the Heavenly Realm. I feel like every time we go back to the Heavenly Realm, we get something new that is going to be pointed out and be even more like, and be even greater. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm probably going to lie during the Dongwall reactions. I got pretty good at it in this one. I was like, oh yeah, they're just good friends. Everything's great. Yeah. Inside I'm going, I'm going to have to lie. I'm going to have to lie and be like, oh, look, I'm seeing this for the first time. Although, seeing it again, I will say there's a lot of this season that I've forgotten over the months and months I've been reading. So going back to this Donghua and re-experiencing it, I'm like, oh yeah, Longing was there. Oh yeah, he was doing this. Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I forgot about that. So yeah, I am glad Longing's there because it's going to show they're going to take him back to the heavenly realm with them. And he's going to get like locked up in a corner somewhere, out of sight, out of mind. But yeah, next week's going to be a lot of fun. I love that rewatching this Donghua after reading the novels, you get the idea that at the time, Hua-chan wasn't really mad at Xie Lian. He was just like, what are you doing? And here it's kind of the same way, but not looking forward to Paradise Manor burning next episode. But you know what that means? That means we're just one episode closer to my fave. Qirong, look, if I had to pick a top two, if I'm picking my top 3 side characters, as of right now, my top 3 side characters are the Windmaster, Qirong. Oh, Qirong for sure, right? Absolutely. Yes, please. And then it's a big toss-up, right? Because a part of me would like to say Yin Yu, but I think that's because of the last couple chapters I've been reading and their whole thing with Chan Yijin. The other part of me is like, Pei Ming from book 3 on, or book 4 on, I'm like, Pei Ming, once we get to the Blackwater arc, suddenly when they start to jump onto the HuaLian ship, that's when I started to be like, oh yes, I like you as a side character. I would say the Windmaster and Qirong are my favorites though, because they're such divas in very different ways, but they're probably my favorite side characters, so we'll see. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next week. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week and we'll talk about more Heaven Officials Blessing Season 2.